Hello, Latin 2. I'm recording interior today, inside, so I apologize if it sounds like my voice is bouncing off of the walls. There's not much on these walls. I'm in a room in my basement, and so that's why it might sound a little bit different or look a little bit different. I just wanted to talk to you this week, make a recording, talk about a few things that are on Canvas that you can be doing if you so choose, as well as a couple of other things. Has been my penchant or my tendency most recently. There are going to be three items that I mention randomly throughout this recording that if you then go on Canvas, there's going to be a quiz. All you have to do is name the three items, and you can receive a 100 simply for virtue of watching this. So be aware they're going to be landforms. My daughter had a landform project this week that I had to help her with, and so I'm going to tell you three random landforms, and that way you can obviously take note of them. But a couple of things. One, is that both set of modules for this week are now on Canvas. Remember that you have a choice, and that choice is you could either do the subjunctives. I would encourage you to do that if you plan to move on in Latin. Hopefully some of you do. And if you successfully complete all of the subjunctive items, there are only a few weeks left, including last week, a week before that, and this week, and then three more weeks now. I'm going to go ahead and curve your grade, your average in the class, 10 full points. Some of you are already that high to begin with, but again, I talked last time of the reasons why you would want to put forth the effort anyway, and I certainly would appreciate it, and I'm really appreciative of those of you who are still plugging along, and it would benefit you very much, especially those of you who might want to take Latin with me next year, and I really hope that some of you do. Nevertheless, there's also the Trojan War option. What it seems to have done, or that I put on last week and this week, and let me be clear about this. If you complete the Trojan War items, you will pass. And you will most likely pass with close to a B, if not a B, or a mid-B, or for those of you who are choosing that option, I am going to be incredibly generous, as I said before, for those of you who are doing work on Canvas. The way that it's set up for the Trojan War is that essentially I make recordings. They're short. They're about anywhere between 8 to 14 minutes long for a section. And there's a little short quiz, a matching quiz that you can then take after you watch me walk you through it, which is essentially going through my PowerPoint. And so last week was Trojan War installments 1, 2, and 3 with short 3 quizzes. This week is 4, 5, and 6 with short 3 quizzes. And I highly encourage those of you who would like to help yourselves out and help your grade. Don't want to do the subjunctives because they're difficult, I understand, but do those and I will help you. For those of you who choose the subjunctive route, we're going over ut clauses this week. And if you look on there, there are actually 2 quizzes. One is the translation of some ut clauses. This is not a typo, but if you look on there, the quiz is worth 140 points. And it's merely a completion quiz. It's several sentences that have ut clauses. They're not very long. And all you have to do is translate them, whether you get them right or whether you get them wrong, and identify what kind of ut clause is in there. And I'm going to give you a quiz grade of 140 that I'll put in both daily grade average section and in quizzes average section. So that could be very helpful to you. There's another one in which in those sentences, another quiz, I isolate the form of the subjunctive. And all you have to do is tell the, the tense of it. And so that's worth 125 points. Now, what I'm going to do this coming weekend is that I'm going to make a recording going over both of those. And if you choose to do that after the recording, which will probably be made on Sunday, the 140-point ut clauses is going to be reduced to 110. And the other one, the forms, is going to be 125. Now, to do the ut clauses, there is a study guide that I have made that is a video that you can watch, and you can earn another quiz grade of 100 because there are 3 things in the study guide that I go through. And so just like this, you can obviously win or earn points by knowing them. So your first landform is delta. Nevertheless, so that's what's going on with what's on Canvas this week. Secondly, those of you who have requested quizzes, It's a slow process. I have a lot of requests in Latin 1. I've been spending time. I put actually for Latin 1 both of their major exams we've had so far on there. And so if you could be patient, there's a list that I'm working through. The very next thing up that I'll be working on today and tonight are the NLEs. I'm going to put the NLE on there for anybody who wishes to either retake it or take it. That's my goal. And so that's what I've been working on there. But at any rate, like I say, it's a slow go to add them. So I appreciate your patience, and anybody who's continuing to do any work. Again, I will reward you handsomely. Nevertheless, now we're going to go over the last bonus that I had given you last week, which was over the category of spring. I have the answers right here. And I'll go ahead and give you the second landform. Island is it. So these were your questions and answers, and you can obviously check to see how you've done. You could have obviously put on to the quiz that included the 3 items from the last time and would have gotten a score of a 110. 100 for just simply knowing the fruits from my last recording. And then you could 10 additional points for just attempting the answer to these bonuses. But I asked within 50% what was the pollen count, and it actually was 9,000. It's one of the highest in record. It was in the last week of March. It's a little bit under 9,000. I have to go back and look at it exactly, but anything within 50% of that, you would have gotten it right. Number 2, primavera. It means first green. First green, prima first, and vera, green. Primavera. Not the word truthful, verusa, but the word vera, and verum. Number 3, Juan dat April with a sure suit in the first week of school in Latin 1. That was from the Canterbury Tales, and Geoffrey Chaucer was the name of the author, so you could give me either one of those. Number 4, if you're part of a Seder, what are you a part of? You are celebrating Passover. Passover is what you'd be doing. Number 5, the movie that comes on that is almost 4 hours long, that you can guarantee to be on a Saturday night in early spring. That, of course, is the 10 Commandments. 10 Commandments. It's a biblical epic. Cecil B. DeMille, I think, was the director. He was famous for his epics of the 1950s. Number 6, the animal that is my absolute bane of existence. And I said that Dumbledore is derived from a Latin word that is often confused. Well, Dumbledore means bumblebee because he buzzes about Hogwarts. And the answer is carpenter bee. A carpenter bee, I hate them. Man, they put holes in everything wooden at my house, and I just cannot stand them. I think at the beginning of the video, actually, that I made last week outside, there was one buzzing about my head, and I had to flick it away. Number 7, any state in the Ogallala Aquifer. It's in the middle of the country, and the main state is Nebraska, but all the states that are underneath there, all the way down to Texas. And so if you named any of those states in the vicinity, I have to go back and look exactly. Number 8, we talked about springs and whose law. Hook. I mentioned the clues of the treble as a type of fishing hook, treble hook. I also mentioned Dustin Hoffman playing the titular character in that movie Hook, in which Robin Williams was Peter Pan grown up. And part of a song, the hook of the song, is the thing that'll obviously make you get into it. Number 9, I talked about the Mamertine prison and a spring that bubbled up there. And that when Peter, the first pope, according to tradition, was held in that prison, it was for the purpose of the spring so he could baptize the other prisoners that were in it. And so the purpose of the spring was not for drinking, not for washing, but for baptism. And then finally, what springs eternal in the human breast? A great quote by Alexander Pope, which I messed up on. It was Essay on Man, I think it was. I said a human understanding. I think that was something like John Locke or somebody else. But at any rate, hope springs eternal from the human breast. So, according to my tradition, here is your quiz or bonus for this week. So I'm going to make a quiz, put it on Canvas. All you have to do is tell me those landforms. I've already said the first 2. I'm going to give you the third and last one at some point before the end of this video. But if you would like your hand at the bonus, supplemental bonus today is going to be over all the stuff that I have been cooking and eating at my isolation here at home. Only once or twice a week do we get takeout, and so I've been doing a lot of cooking, and all of these are going to give you some insight about what I've been cooking and eating and things of that nature. So number 1, last week, or actually it was this week, early at the beginning of this week, I made a dish I had never made before, and it required capers. Capers are a little flower, and you usually find them pickled, and so you'll find them in the pickle section. They're teeny tiny little things, but at any rate, they have a aroma and a taste of a particular fruit. And so that is your question: what fruit do capers sometimes seem to exude? To give you a hint, the dish that I was making was chicken piccata. So if you can figure out, I use the juice of that fruit also. So capers. Number two, tonight actually, we're going to be eating BLTs, bacon, lettuce, and tomato. What part of the pig specifically is bacon? So if I were to ask you, from what part of a pig comes the let's say, Boston butt, you would have said the shoulder. So what part of the pig is the bacon going to be coming from? Number three, earlier this week, or last week, I can't remember, they all run together, we had stroganoff, beef stroganoff, and that is a recipe from my grandmother. And what nationality or what nation is stroganoff most associated with? If I had said we were making goulash, of course, you would have said Hungary. So what is stroganoff most associated with? Number four, on occasion we have pasta, and I very much like to grill chicken and to then put that chicken together with some angel hair pasta and put pesto on it. Pesto is essentially two ingredients combined with olive oil. One is basil and the other is a nut. What kind of nut is going to be a major part of pesto? Number five, there is a particular dish that I've only ever eaten outside of my home at Waffle House, and my daughter likes it very much, and she goes around singing an old Outcast song because it mentions this item, and it also includes in the line in which it mentions this items gator belts and Monte Carlos. So, and it's in the song So Fresh and So Clean off of the Stankonia album, I think, of the year 2000. But what is this item that my daughter likes very much, and I do too, that one could eat and apparently put it in a song with also gator belts and Monte Carlos? Number six, I made a couple of 3 weeks ago a particular item called challah. And challah is usually eaten on the first night after Passover. And so I made challah from scratch. And so the question is, what did I make if I simply made challah? And it looked really, really cool when I made it. So nevertheless, that was it. Number seven, we've also eaten some item known as cordon bleu. And so it is a particular item that is stuffed. And I need to know with what two items consist of the stuffing in what we ate that was known as cordon bleu. The next one is that I guess it was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, had takeout from a particular restaurant in Athens. And this restaurant specialized in a particular nationality. And I would argue the most famous food item specifically from this nation that Americans would identify would be kimchi. So what kind of a restaurant did that takeout fancy itself? Number nine, believe it or not, every single weekday of the entirety since March 13, I've eaten the exact same item. I make it for the whole week, all 5 days of the weekdays, on the weekend, and then I don't have to worry about planning my lunch. I only have to make lunch for my daughters. So in that, there are chickpeas. What kind of bean is a chickpea that I've eaten for lunch as a part of my lunch every single day? Then finally, and by the way, our last landform is a plain. Finally, every single morning also of the self-isolation, self-distancing, I've had during the week, the weekdays, I've eaten a bowl of oatmeal. That has been my breakfast. However, I put a particular frozen fruit in the oatmeal. One, because that's healthier than putting sugar or anything else in it. And secondly, it's a win-win because one, it makes the oatmeal bearable to eat. And 2, it cools down the oatmeal. So that is your last question, number 10. What fruit item have I put every single day of the isolation into my oatmeal for a weekday breakfast? I get kind of crazy on the weekends. For breakfast, I usually, fry an egg or something. But what is it that I put in my oatmeal? So that is it. As per usual, again, for those of you who continue to engage on Canvas and otherwise, I thank you so much. I know I canceled last Thursday, but I'll plan for tomorrow again. If anybody wants to say hello, 2 p.m., I'll send out a Zoom invitation. I'd love to see you, talk with you, answer any questions you might have. I want to encourage you to do everything you can to improve your grades, not in my class, only in my class, but all of them. And we only have a few weeks here remaining, but I appreciate you and appreciate all the work you've been doing. And anything I can do for you, you just let me know. And hopefully we'll see you live tomorrow. It's going to be better weather. I'll be outside, and I'll see you then. Thanks.